Solana, I think, is I wrote an article about this weekend. I've been looking at it, wasn't sure what to do with it, and then I think it's the ETH of this cycle.
Wow!
Remember the ETH of the last, ETH was the one that became the big new thing. I think it's this.
Hey everybody! Today I'm once again joined by Raoul Pal. He is the co-founder and CEO of Real Vision Finance. Welcome to the show. And by the way, before we get really into it, if you could tell us where people can find out more about Real Vision Finance and what you guys do there.
Yeah, two places. First, you can find me on Twitter. I'm really active. I try and answer questions, help people out. I'm at Raoul, Raoul GMI. And Real Vision, we've got a whole Real Vision subscription channel for finance, but we have an entire free channel all about crypto, interviewing the most famous people in the crypto world, people you never see anywhere else. That's realvisioncrypto.com or realvision.com/crypto. It's free. So just go there. There's a new video every day, and it's an incredible treasure trove of information for people to learn and figure out what the hell's going on in all of this.
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually how I stumbled across you years ago was, watching some of the videos on that channel and high quality, high level education and content. So you guys definitely go check it out. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's get started. I want to talk about altcoins today. We spent yesterday's interview talking about Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Maximus, the flipning, ETH 2.0, the whole 9 yards. But in this video, I want to get dialed into altcoins and your thoughts. Now, we're going to be talking about some specific altcoins today. We're going to be talking about Cardano, XRP, Solana, and we may bring some other ones up. But before we get too much into that, I want to know, what is your overall kind of overlook of the altcoin market right now?
So how I think about it is, when you start a bull market, you own Bitcoin, then you start overweighting ETH, and then what happens is everything that's riskier starts going up more. So these are things that are earlier in their adoption cycle, and then the super risky stuff like NFTs. So that's how bull markets always work. So what I did is I said, listen, I'm going to own some Bitcoin and some ETH, and I, over time, have moved more of my allocation to ETH. But I bought a basket of stuff. I said, I don't know whether Polkadot, Cardano, Solana, whatever's going to outperform. So I just did a basket equally weighted. And then I've been watching it. And so it's done really well. I put it on the beginning of the year. It's up, I don't know, 150% or so. And now I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to start concentrating the bets in the ones that I think in this last quarter, where I think the big bull market lies, those outperformers are the ones you really want to back. So that's kind of how I've been thinking about it. I did the idiot's portfolio first, which is like, I don't know, because it's hard to know it's hard to know. So that was the idiot's way. Then I start looking at seeing, okay, what's getting adoption?
Yeah. When was the first time you invested in a coin outside of Bitcoin or Ethereum?
January or December.
So very recently. Wow. Well, welcome to the DGen side of crypto. We're glad to have you, Raoul. We're glad to have you. Okay.
I've now got a whole bunch of these damn things.
Yeah. Well, you know what? The rabbit hole, it just gets deeper and deeper and deeper. So, a lot of fun stuff will be coming in the bear market, and everybody will be talking about everything's a scam. And, when you got that knowledge of what really happens in these altcoins, you're so much better prepared for how to manage these cycles. So let's talk about Cardano. Cardano is a project that I love. Hashtag AdaGang, love this people. We run a node on the Cardano network, the BitPool. What is your thought about Cardano from, a functional standpoint and also a price standpoint?
So, we've had Charles Hoskinson a few times on Real Vision. I like the project. I think it's very interesting. We really need to see more network adoption.
Yeah.
So it's early stage for me still. So, the price is going up. It's doing well. There's a big community behind it. So that gives you one side of the network. We need to see more use cases outside of the Ethiopia case that's being talked about a lot. So, I own some, and I'm just waiting to see, really, is it going to start getting a lot of traction, people building stuff on it? I know people are waiting for the smart contract side. So, maybe it's not the biggest outperformer in this cycle. But, if it survives this cycle and continues to get adoption, it'll probably do very well in the next cycle.
Yeah. So very interesting. Yeah. You've had Charles on a few times. I've had Charles on a couple of times on my channel as well. I love Charles. I feel like he's somebody that he's a straight shooter, and you always get his real opinion on things, which, I love. There's a lot of people out there that aren't like that. You got to kind of dice their words and find out what they're getting at. But with him, he's straight up. And I think that you make a really good point about the ecosystem not being there yet, because it doesn't really exist yet. I mean, we've got placeholders for DEXs and, exchanges and wallets. We have placeholders, but they're not on the Cardano network yet because the Cardano network doesn't have smart contracts yet. But what I would say on that is very interesting. If we were to go back to 2017 and we were to look at Ethereum, it would look the exact same way. I mean, it wasn't until late 2017 when, we had ERC20s at least around mid 2017, I believe, maybe a little bit before that. But, it wasn't until 2018 that we really started seeing dApps and we really started seeing, decentralized exchanges. They didn't really start popping up until 2019. So is there not like a little buyer, do you think people could be in for buyer's remorse really? I mean, because certainly like you probably wish you had bought Ethereum in 2017 or, 2016. Isn't actually not having a big ecosystem yet and still having the hype and excitement for Cardano, don't you think that could actually be a good thing?
Which is why I own it. Yeah. It's exactly that reason is I own it because there's a lot of investors in it. And if the ecosystem builds out, it's going to do incredibly well. And as you say, maybe it rallies into that as, everyone knows smart contracts is the issue. Yeah. So that's everybody knows. So therefore, when smart contracts come out, it's kind of like, okay, well, that's what we've been waiting for. We know it's coming. It's like the ETH 2.0. We know it's coming.
Yeah.
There's too many smart people working on it for it not to happen. So yeah, I agree. I think you're right. It probably goes up significantly into that event.
I think that's pretty interesting thought there. So let's fast forward. I want to talk about XRP. We'll get to Solana. It's a Cardano, competitor. Huge moves lately for it. I'm sure your portfolio is doing well with it. But I want to talk about XRP because XRP is the most interesting coin in this bull run to me, from a price standpoint. It's one of the only major coins that did not hit a new all-time high during the first phase of this bull run. Now, the reason for that is pretty simple, the SEC lawsuit. But I believe that thing's going to get cleared up before the end of this bull run. I think actually sooner rather than later. And that sets it up to have an even bigger bounce in the second half of this bull run due to the suppression that occurred in the first half. Do you have any thoughts on first the lawsuit and what maybe that has, what effect that can have on crypto in general? And then, what do you see for XRP?
Unfortunately, I think we totally agree with each other. XRP is a great risk reward, right? The lawsuit, we've seen every lawsuit, every single one has been a fine.
Mm-hmm. Everyone.
A slap on the wrist, because everybody's actually cleared up after the event anyway. And these events were a while ago, BitMEX, that's happening. We're going to see all of this. So I think it's going to be a slap on the wrist that it could have looked like a security. There'll be no admission of guilt on either side. Mm-hmm. There'll be a payment of a fine, and then XRP is free to run. What's interesting about XRP is there is quite a lot of use cases. Now, I know a bunch of Bitcoin people hate it. It's not decentralized enough. I don't care. It's, are people using it? Yes, a lot more than most people realize. And what's amazing about this setup is you can't buy us on any of the exchanges. And it's not in the Bitwise ETF. The Bitwise ETF is now $1 billion. The Bitwise index is, the top 10 index is $1 billion. So the moment XRP is freed, they have to buy a few $100 million of it, as everybody else can, because the exchanges will have it back. So you're setting up for a hell of a nice run if this clears up. Worst case, it doesn't. Worst case is, let's say 50% downside. Best case is 10x from here. So I'll take a 50-to-1 risk reward for the next, 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, I think 10x is pretty good from this point. I mean, that would put it over $10. I think $10 to $15 is probably in the right range for where we should see XRP go. There's a much more bullish case, in my opinion, where we could see higher 20 to 30, but that would be, all of a sudden bank after bank is coming out adopting. And what a lot of people don't understand is that we're also focused on the XRP lawsuit, rightly so, and its effect on the price. But, there's a phase two. There's a step 2 of this, which is after this is cleared and they get the SEC lawsuit out of the way, they're officially not a security. Well, now that sets Ripple Labs to go public. And that's something a lot of people aren't talking about. So if you look at what caused Bitcoin to go up at the peak in phase 1, It was the Coinbase IPO, and to talk about a Ripple Labs IPO, I think is very significant.
Remember the Coinbase IPO. Remember, buy the rumor, sell the fact was the exact high of Bitcoin to the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really was.
Which is why I think ETH 2.0 will be to the day.
Yeah,
and maybe a Ripple one will be the same. It's how markets work.
It is. It's so interesting. Well, I remember back in 2018, the big rumor in January of 2018. So we're still in the 2017 bull run, basically, or the peak of it. The big rumor was, XRP was going on Coinbase, and Brian Armstrong came out and tweeted, I think it was like December or January 8th or something like that. He came out and tweeted, we've made no decisions on coins, going on to Coinbase. And that was the peak of XRP, was that very day. So, a lot of these, buy the rumor, sell the news stuff. Sometimes you sell the rumor in that case and you sell the news, turn out to be, very pivotal. Well, let's move on. I think that's your thoughts on XRP. I'm a little offended that you said, fortunately, we agree. Okay. I know it makes great content when we're arguing, Raul. Okay.
Well, that's right. We could have argued. People would have loved it, but we're just like, yeah, you're right.
God, we're just all going to get rich with XRP. I guess we got to take it or leave it. So let's talk about Solana, though. Solana has just been massive run. Two different pumps, had a 90% pump a couple of weeks ago, and now just had a 60% pump in the last few days. I mean, that's peak altcoin season numbers right there. But it'll be kind of across the board for Solana. This thing has just been ripping. What are your thoughts on Solana right now?
Solana, I think, is I wrote an article about this weekend. I've been looking at it, wasn't sure what to do with it. And then I think it's the ETH of this cycle.
Wow.
Remember the ETH of the last, ETH was the one that became the big new thing. I think it's this, because the pedigree of all the people involved in it, the speed of adoption is ridiculous. I mean, it's growing faster than ETH did at that point in the cycle. The number of application, the ecosystem it's like somebody just sent me a chart of the ecosystem. There's like 300 people already working with Solana. It's like, okay, this is real. And this is happening at a speed none of us can get our heads around. It's kind of like everybody wanted Cardano to happen. Is that actually happening in Solana right now? As you say, doesn't mean Cardano doesn't over time, but Solana looks like it's going to win this, this cycle. Being the standout coin that becomes a major.
Yeah, someone was asking me right now if I'd rather invest in Solana or Cardano. Now we own a bunch of both, obviously. But if I were new and I were trying to choose which one, I would have to go with Cardano right now for the rest of this bull run, because Solana's just pumped so hard, so much. Like you said, it's already like one of the ones.
If it's the chosen one, it'll outperform all the way through. Yeah, that's what you did last time, right? Yeah. It's like it becomes unviable, and everybody starts screaming, "This is crazy," and then it doubles and doubles again, and then doubles again. So I don't know. It's fun. I own all of them. So
I know, right? It's way more fun to answer that question to someone that has both than the person that's trying to decide which one to put their money in. So, I mean, I think when the smart contracts launch for Cardano, it's going to get a nice, real big pump as well. But, you said it seems to be the chosen one. I would say there's probably some people in the background doing the choosing. Solana backed by a lot of the same people that back the digital currency group. A lot of overlap between many of the funds that are in there. So, a lot of people watch my channel, they know what that means. When those people decide prices are going to move, they're going to move. So a lot of the number one coin institutions have been investing in over the last few weeks by a long shot. Number two, Ethereum. Number one, Solana. Or no, actually Cardano was number two. And then Ethereum was number three. And I think that just shows, the power of the institutions. When everything else is dropping, Solana's been pumping, and that's that big money making moves. So what other coins, what coins could we be looking at, do you think, that could be the next Solana or the next Cardano or any other coins you
I've kind of like, I own a bunch of DeFi stuff and I'm not that interested in it. It'll go up, and it's interesting because it's great. They're disrupting the financial system, but I've been in the finance system for 30 years. So I don't really want to invest in another new finance system. So really what I've got interested in is community tokens. That I think is going to be the big one. And I don't think it's going to be the big one for this cycle. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be the thing, look back in 5 years' time and go, oh my God, there was zero chance you will not tokenize your community. There's zero chance Real Vision will not tokenize. There's zero chance Disney will not tokenize its franchises, and maybe Disney itself. Facebook is already tokenizing via VM. So right now, there's only one or two platforms to buy, and one of them is Rally. The other one is Chiliz, which is tokenizing soccer clubs and sports teams. So there's not actually much there. So if you want to express your view, those are the platforms. We'll get more over time as other people. Flow is probably another one, the Dapper Labs product, Flow. So that's where I really think you can find bargains. I mean, Rally's $150 million. If communities really start going, some of these communities are, you know, what's the community of Disney worth? I mean,
yeah, insane to think about.
Maybe $100 billion. What's Rally worth then? 150 million.
Do the math.
So, you know, some of this will be straight on different protocols. Some of them will be on this. So those are my kind of smaller tips on the side.
Yeah, very interesting. We have our own token here. I don't talk about it a lot because, you know, nobody else, you know, not a lot of other people are doing it, and people are like, oh, you're talking about your own tokens. We don't promote it a lot. We have our own Bit token. This is going to be integrated with our Sandbox game. It's going to be integrated with it's kind of like DraftKings, but for coins. We got that coming out called Coin Leagues. We've got, you know, integrated into our NFTs. We got so much cool stuff going on. What we actually created about a year ago because we saw this coming. So we're really excited about it. And I think you could be right when we're looking. That was always the play, was not for this cycle, but for the next cycle. You got to have the real like crypto adoption. The NFTs have kind of brought that, I feel like, to where the mainstream people are interested. I think, you know, it makes total sense for community coins to pump in the next cycle. So, Raul,
you want to get them as cheap as you can now is the point. Absolutely. And they're the ones you stick away, don't even think about.
Yes. So real exciting. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I mean, this has been for 2 interviews. It's been such a fascinating conversation. I feel like I do agree with you a lot. That's probably why I like you. For sure. That makes for better content when we argue. We argue about, you know, Cardano and Solana a little bit.
We'll find something next time.
Yeah, we'll have to make sure to do that. But thank you so much for joining us. I definitely want to have you back on the show again down the road. I've wanted you on the show for a long time. I think you're extremely fascinating, very intelligent. I think you're real, you're authentic, and I like that. So guys, make sure to go check out Real Vision Finance. We'll have a little commercial we'll play here in a second. You can check out how to do that. Drop your comments down below and let me know what you think the altcoin of this cycle is. What do you think, Cardano versus Solana? Do you agree with us on XRP that it's got a lot of room to go? Make sure to drop those comments down below. That's all I got. Be blessed. Good way out.
If you want to understand the future of everything, then understanding digital assets is the key. That's why Real Vision launched Real Vision Crypto, the world's premier cryptocurrency and digital assets video channel. Right now, Real Vision Crypto is helping more than 100,000 members understand the biggest wealth creation opportunities in a generation. 5 times a week, we bring you the most brilliant minds in finance and crypto, including Vitalik Buterin, Gary Vaynerchuk, Caitlin Long, Bill Tai, Gavin Woods, the Winklevoss brothers, and so many more. And best of all, Real Vision Crypto is completely free. To secure your free membership to Real Vision Crypto, please visit realvision.com/revolution today.